Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Thanks for this amazing introduction. My name is Alex Antolino. I'm really happy to be here and really cold also. I come from Barcelona. It's a bit more chilly here. Yeah, so how many people of you know Typeform? Okay. For those of you who don't know Typeform, Typeform is an online form builder. And the main difference with others is that we put a lot of effort in the experience. We put a lot of effort in understanding how people respond to it, how people react to it, okay? So I joined Typeform 4 years ago. It was 30 people, right? Like now we're 200 people, so a lot of growth, a lot of things happened. We launched a new version of the product last year, and we launched a new brand. And I'm here to talk about brand because I think when you have a really, really strong and solid brand, there's a lot it can do for your business in terms of growth, in terms of clarity, right? So when I joined, there was no creative team, and I scaled the creative team, like we're now 12 people, and we took from a single logo, just a single logo, and a brand color, to a solid brand with a solid narrative that we have today, right? So again, we're here to talk about brand, but I would like to start with a story. This is James Hamilton. James Hamilton is from Chile, and this is when he was like around 20, on early 80s. And as you know, in Chile, early 20s, they had this other guy running the country, Augusto Pinochet. It was not easy living in a country with this guy on top. And James wanted to study medicine, right? So what James was thinking, I have two options, right? Basically, option number one, I don't like this guy. I try to fight, join the revolution and fight. Option number two, I join some kind of peaceful way of like doing the same thing. So he decided to join a church. So he went to this church, La Parroquia del Bosque, and in this church, he met other people, and they were meeting within a group that it was called Acción Católica. And this other guy was there. This guy is Fernando Caradima. He was the priest at that time, and he was very popular for the speeches he used to do, talking about heroism and talking about being humble and how to succeed. And he was very inspirational, right? Very popular within the community. And for someone so young and easy to impress, it had a big, profound impact. And this is when the sex abuse started, right? And this sex abuse lasted for 2 decades. James said, you wouldn't expect that something like this could happen. It was very confusing. And a grown-up version of James, 20 years later, speak up and brought him to court. This was 2010, and in 2011 he was seized from his functions, and this took like 6 years or something like that. And after 6 years, the case was so profound and so impactful that Pope Francis decided to remove him from church, so he was defrocked. But this is what's interesting to me. So when you look at Chile against South America, you see there's a slight difference, right? Why is that? What are we talking about? We're talking about Catholic Church? Are we talking about sexual abuse? We're talking about brand. And we're talking about the most biggest, oldest brand we've ever created. And the most powerful too. We're talking about the brand that created the biggest business, the most profitable business we've ever seen, ever. And we know this brand, right? We know the values, we know what they stand for. Why? Some of us maybe read their brand book. We know what they stand for. They stand for a better world, basically, and being nice to each other and creating communities and being humble, being honest. And then, why? What's interesting here is that in 2010, it dropped down in 7 years, 50%, which is exactly what it dropped down in 15 years, double the amount of time. But why? The church is the same. The values are the same. Anything change? It's not what you say, it's what you do. Important. So what's a brand? Steve Jobs says this, marketing is about values. We have to be really clear about what we want people to know about us. And Jeff Bezos says, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. These people probably knew something about brand. I think a brand is the sum total of every interaction you have with a company or a product. So not a logo, not a commercial, everything from the way the customer service treats you, from the experience you have with the product, everything. It's a promise, and it's the story of the difference you make, right? It could be a negative difference, or it could be a positive difference. People who know what they're doing, they can build things like that. And this is not casual. Of course, it's a place to have rituals, but the size of it, come on. When was that built? It was a moment where church needed power. So this is a way to prove that. Or these amazing, beautiful places. Now, by the way, image on the right is Apple's Park Visitor Center. And this is how it looks like. Boom. This is Apple Store in Fifth Avenue, New York. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Now, brand. And I'm going to try to add a little bit of clarity here. So, brand is who you are and what you want to do, like the difference you want to make in the world is your vision. So I'm Alex. My vision is that people understand about brand. That's why I'm here today. How am I going to do it? Going to conferences, your mission, what you do. And now let's focus a little bit on brand now. Brand fundamentals. Identity is one part, of course, and identity is look and feel. Identity is the logo. Identity is how you talk, your voice and tone, all these things, yes. But mostly, your values. What do you stand for? And then there's capability, which is your product. How good are you at solving other people's problems? Could be a product, could be a service, anything. And then, communication. How good are you telling the story? Telling your values, communicating your values and your product. Now, if you have all of these, you have clarity. If you understand all of these things and you do them properly, you have clarity. And this internal clarity gives you a clear understanding of your values. So you can communicate your values, and when you know all of this, you can take calculated risks that lead to something like this. Do you guys know this campaign? Yes, hands up. Okay, this guy is Colin Kaepernick. I'm not a big American football fan, but this guy basically was the number one that led them to the Super Bowl. And he was really good. He had this bright talent. And one day he was sitting. And then the reporter said, "Why are you sitting?" And he said, "There's some things that I don't like in America. There's black people dying. People are not getting accountable. So as long as this doesn't change, during the national anthem, I won't stand up." Drama, everything. But this clearly represented Nike's values at that moment. This also happened. So these things can happen. So that's why it's a risk. But this also can also happen. 6 billion. And you know who this guy is? The Nike campaign that I show you is the 30th anniversary campaign, but this one is the original, the Just Do It campaign. And this guy is like old man, like 80-year-old man, like running on the street. He's like, "Hey, every day, I run 70 miles a day, hello. And then just do it. Boom. And then they were like, oh, actually, we can tell this story in every single aspect of our business. Boom. The thing is, before, we were always talking about product market fit, no? Good idea, there's a problem, good idea, I put it on the market, product market fit, awesome. But something changed, and with this change, people started making stuff, they were more connected, and there's a power shift. Like, now, brands don't own the narrative anymore. They just put it out, and who own it is the customers. So, yesterday, we were talking about product market fit, but today, everything is about brand market fit. And it's very important to understand this, because the market now wants to be understood. They want to collaborate. They want to stand for something. They're a community. And they're looking for a purpose. They're looking for something, right? So I'm going to talk about Typeform now. This is how forms look like before Typeform existed, if they're lucky enough to have beautiful design. And this is Typeform. You see a difference here. So imagine a conversation, right? Imagine a conversation on a bar. And then you go to this person, and you're like, name, age, sex, nationality. Come on. What Typeform did was apply the friendliness of a normal conversation, ask one question at a time, and be able to ask something more than just one name, right? Product market fit. But when you have a good idea, other people can do it too, because products are easy to copy. And that's why we did this. Brand market fit. We needed to understand what makes Typeform special, and what makes it special is the experience. But what's more interesting than this is like this experience is important in every single aspect, even with something as stupid as a form. So that's why our brand is about making every interaction count. And basically, we try to make interacting with our audience count. Why? Because they care about it. They care about every single detail, and we do. And that's why this is our core value, because it's shared. Now, most important part, the pragmatic part. Now we know the story. A lot of companies do this. Like, a lot of companies understand their story. But the most complicated part is, how do I make it land? And I told you before, it's not what you say, it's what you do. And it's not just what you do once, but at every touch point, many, many, many times. So I'll give you an example of getting it wrong. But before, how many of you go to the gym? How many of you started going to the gym the 1st of January? There you go. Me too. And the thing is, I want to get my six-pack, go to the gym, 10 hours a day, 1st of January, go back to the mirror. Nothing happened. Why? Gym doesn't work. This is actually the reason why a lot of people quit going to the gym, because they don't get the ROI. Go to the gym, there's no return of my investment. Why would I go? It's so exhausting. Wouldn't it make more sense to go 20 minutes running every day, and then after 6 months, you go back to your mirror and tell me what you see? It's not about intensity, it's about consistency, and brands work like this. Here's the example. Can we get the sound there? Okay, I'm gonna do the voiceover. Oh, hello, Typeform.
Learn about what they like, what they need, or even how they feel.
Look at how they organize they are. That's beautiful.
Really try to understand them, one question
if you want to
at
be
a
successful
time.
in San Francisco, go by Typeform.
Ready to start the conversation?
It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna be super hot. Seriously. It doesn't work, I promise you. I've been there. It doesn't work. You do it. How do you do it? With every interaction. Yes, but that's not, the slide is for the next thing. You do it with every interaction, many times, every touch point. There you go, yes, thank you. And you don't say it. You don't say, oh, Typeform, best form ever. No, you prove it. So I'm going to give you an example on how we do it now, and I have to rush a lot. So every interaction counts. This is our brand proposition, right? How we do it through product? Through the product vision. We try to improve our product following this lead all the time. How do we... sorry, I don't have the previous slide, and I'm like messing around here with my speech. Oops. So, you know what's this? This is an experiment. When you understand what your brand is about, you can experiment. You can go out of your product, your day-to-day product, and you can do things like that. And you can think, okay, how can we make every interaction count through video? Forms through video. And you can check it out. It's just Google it. How do you do it through brand? This is an experiment that we launched on Halloween last October. It's an interactive story. So how can we make it count through video? How can we make it count on storytelling? And we use Typeform to make an interactive piece. And you've probably seen Netflix did something like this recently too. Marketing. So we put the customer at the center of everything we do. Why? Because it's not what you say, it's what you do. So we don't want to tell the story. We want people who really believe and experience the story to tell it for us. And they love to tell their story. So it's great. Do it. It works. Promise. Every interaction counts. How do we do it through events? We went to a conference a couple of years ago, and we really wanted to provide meaningful merchandising, if there's such a thing. So we created these T-shirts, and we invited 2 very talented artists to customize them, but not randomly. At that time, we had the tagline, this is a current tagline. Make things more human. Remember? So what we did is we did a T-shirt. The T-shirt was very ugly, but the content that they did was amazing. The T-shirt was make blank space more human. So a marketer would come, and they would customize it. I make marketing more human. I make creative more human. I make sales more human. And then there was a huge line, and we had these people waiting there. And then we had to provide something. So we had people from Typeform, because we didn't expect that line, just hours and hours talking with them, explaining the product, just giving them coffee, small talk, anything. And we got things like that. The best booth. It was super good, the experience. I was waiting in the line around 45 minutes to an hour. Are you serious? Why? Because it meant something. Because we worked for providing real value. And this is the result. And then they said, there's this nice teacher that was talking with us. It's very nice. It really works when you actually put care on what you do and the results come. Don't think about results. Think about what you're doing. Results will follow. And then how do we do it from customer success? This just makes me go crazy. We got this ticket one day. How to deal with depression. I feel anxious about my sexuality. And then someone from the customer success team that went through this said, this is what I did that worked for me. Try something, and also you can try to get some help. 1 week later, we get this. Honestly, I asked about depression just because I wanted to see if you guys would even respond. I'm genuinely surprised that such friendly and compassionate people could exist in an organization such as yours. Thank you. Hope I was not a major hassle. This one for me is And then, how do we do it from the people operations team? So our reception in the office, it's not a reception, it's a bar. Yes. But that's not the coolest part. This is the coolest part. No, not this one, this one. The people who work there, just every time you may have a good day, you may have the shittiest day, they're like, hey, hello. They know what you want to have for coffee. It's incredible. It seems super cheesy, and it is, but it's true. And then they do things like this. For Valentine's Day, no one is expecting anything, and they do this. And you're like, it's not what you say, it's what you do, and at every touch point you have to do it many, many, many times. And this is that eventually people will say what you were saying before, because you provided the evidence. You didn't fit them what you want them to say. So I'm going to wrap up with a recap, because for me the most important part is that you understand that brand, it's not just a logo, it's not just design, it's not a beautiful landing page. Brand is this, plus an amazing product or service that really solves people's problems, and to do this you need to listen to them, but also how do you communicate? And communicate doesn't mean shouting, buying time on TV or anything like that. First of all, and you all have friends, you tell me, a good friendship is about listening and reacting, not about like talking about one person, like yourself. So this is very important, these three things. And if you do these three things really, really well, you're gonna be successful. And then you're gonna grow your business. And I want you next Monday, when you go back to your offices, you're gonna be, okay, yeah, that was good or bad, whatever, but how now do I get the most out of my brand? Well, think about this. Think if your brand, when you say brand, what are you thinking on? Are you thinking about the logo? Are you thinking about, what are you thinking on? Because if you only think about logo and design, you're here. And you have the great opportunity to unleash this when you act by your brand. Thank you.